Most of us are aware of the fact that we have an inner critic, and our inner critic is an internalization of all of the criticisms that we have ever received throughout our lifetime. Now, the thing with our inner critic is it tries to protect us, except oftentimes the protection that it produces is counterproductive, in that it tries to hold us back from taking risks. Now, the way it does this is by telling us that we shouldn't take risks by pushing us down. So basically, it'll tell us, in any way possible that you're not good enough to do this or you don't deserve to do this. And again, as I said, it's about understanding that your critic isn't necessarily out to harm you, it's out to protect you. However, the way and the manner in which it goes about doing so isn't particularly beneficial. So it's not about kind of countering your inner critic with a counter criticism, and kind of, I shouldn't be thinking like that. And it becomes just another double whammy of complaint and criticism and cynicism. Instead, you can be compassionate and recognize the fact that your inner critic is trying to protect you. Now, it's also worth noting that we all have a potential inner guru, and this is our inner wisdom, our intuition, our knowledge about the world, about life, about ourselves. And we don't tend to apply this as much as we ought to, nor do we tend to put as much focus on it as we do on our inner critic. And ultimately, the two of them are working in conflict with each other. And in order for our inner guru to, I suppose, be allowed to show all of the wisdom that it contains, it needs to be nourished. The way in which we nourish it is to learn to tap into it and to learn to listen to it. And I suppose I always find it helpful to personify my inner guru. And the way in which I do this is I reflect on who I'm going to be in 10 years. And I don't know about you guys, but I know the me from 10 years ago and the me now, there's a vast difference between us. I mean, I feel now that I have so much more knowledge about the world, I have so much more awareness about myself, that I'm a more well-rounded person, and that I would have so much wisdom to impart onto the version of me from 10 years ago. So what I try and do is I try to, I suppose, imagine what I'm going to be like in 10 years and how much more knowledge and how much more awareness I will have gathered in the next decade. And then I try to listen to the voice of that guru or of that mentor or of that kind of forward projection of myself, and apply her knowledge in certain situations where I'm struggling. And again, her knowledge is so helpful when it comes to, I suppose, areas where I have, kind of defenses working against me or that I have biases working against me. It helps me create a bit more perspective about things, see things outside of the realm of my emotional reactions and apply a little bit more logic, apply, as I said, a little bit of distance and perspective, which is what we should be trying to do in every situation. And I suppose when you can distance yourself a little bit from situations, it improves your decision making. When you're aware of the influences that are playing a part in what decisions you make, you can be wiser in the way that you go about them. As I said, we tend to interpret the world, we tend to make deductions based on who we are, on the biases that we have, on the stories that we tell ourselves. And whilst they can sound like very convincing, sound decisions, they don't always work in our favour and they don't always serve us. So by, I suppose, including the opinion and the perspective of somebody who's wiser and that little bit more removed from the emotional reactivity of a situation, you give yourself a more well-rounded version of events to decide on and to, I suppose, mull through and assess. So it's about kind of, as I said, taking yourself out of the situation, realizing that a lot of the wisdom that you're looking for already exists inside of you, and tapping into that, tapping into your inner guide, tapping into your intuition, tapping into your gut instincts, which we seem to have overridden because I suppose we've become so insecure in our own ability to make decisions. I mean, we're constantly fatigued from being bombarded with decisions all day long. We've lost touch with our authenticity because, again, we're being bombarded with images and constructs of what our life should be like. And as I said, we're very lost in the midst of it all. We don't actually know who we are anymore. And it takes really conscientious practice and discipline to get back into that inner wisdom, the inner guide, the intuition, and the authentic self. If this is something that you would like help with, if you want to get in touch with who it is that you really are, what your values are, what your beliefs are, and what will give you fulfillment in life, get in touch with me on my website. It's fundamentals.ie.